Look around you for a moment and try to find the steel. It is in the frame of the building you are sitting in, the body of the car outside, the hull of the ship crossing the horizon, the rails the trains run on, the bridge over the river, and the humble can in the cupboard. It is the hidden skeleton on which almost the entire modern world is hung. Somebody has to make the roughly 2 billion tons of it the world consumes every year, and for a long time no single company made more of it outside of China than one built almost entirely from the unwanted scraps of others. It is called ArcelorMittal, and this is a series about the companies that run the world. ArcelorMittal represents a very old kind of power, dressed in modern scale. It does not design the skyscrapers, or the cars, or the bridges. It makes the steel that all of them are made of. It sits at one of the most fundamental choke points there is, the supply of the basic structural material of civilization itself. To see why that matters, consider the material. Steel is simply iron with a little carbon mixed in, and yet it is cheap, immensely strong, and endlessly recyclable. At the scale the world builds, there is no real substitute for it. Concrete and steel, together, are quite literally what we build the modern world out of. Making it is ancient in principle and colossal in practice. You take iron ore and coking coal, feed them into a towering blast furnace, and draw off molten iron, which is then refined into steel. The chemistry has barely changed in a century, but the sheer scale of it, poured out day and night, is staggering. The company itself is the story of one relentless man. Lakshminivas Samitala, an entrepreneur from India, built a global empire by buying up failing, unloved, state-owned steel mills all over the world and turning them around one by one. Then, in a dramatic hostile takeover in 2006, his group seized Europe's proud Arcelor, and ArcelorMittal was born. The scale of the industry is hard to grasp. Steel is, by an enormous margin, the most used metal on the entire planet, and second only to concrete among all the materials humanity produces. Nothing else we make out of the ground comes close to the tonnage of steel. And it is genuinely everywhere. Every skyscraper's frame, every car body, every ship's hull, every railway line and pipeline and bridge depends on it. Even concrete leans on steel, since the reinforcing bars hidden inside it are what keep it from crumbling. Take away steel, and the built world does not merely slow, it collapses. But ArcelorMittal no longer sits alone at the summit. China's state-backed giant Baowu now pours out even more steel, and Japan's Nippon's Tuhull and Korea's POSCO are formidable powers in their own right. Above all, China alone makes more than half of all the steel on Earth, which reshapes every contest in the industry. Steel is also unavoidably a strategic material. Nations guard their steelmakers fiercely, with tariffs and subsidies, because a country that cannot make its own steel cannot truly build or arm or defend itself. The politics of steel is really the politics of national power. The economics, meanwhile, are brutal. Steel is a deeply cyclical, low-margin, capital-devouring business, and periodic waves of overcapacity, much of it flowing out of China, flood the world and crush prices for everyone. It is a business of feast and famine, where fortunes are made and unmade with the swing of a cycle. So where is the moat in a business anyone can seemingly enter? It is in the sheer scale of the capital. A single blast furnace costs billions and takes years to build. Owning the whole chain, from the iron ore mine to the finished coil, and running it profitably through the brutal cycles, is a game only true giants can play. But there is a shadow over the whole enterprise, and it may be the most important fact of all. Making steel is one of the single largest sources of carbon dioxide on the planet, responsible for something like a twelfth of all human emissions. The coal in the blast furnace, so central to the old magic, is now the problem. And so the great race of the age has begun. The prize is green steel, made using clean hydrogen instead of coal, and it could remake the entire industry from the furnace up. ArcelorMittal, Nippon, POSCO, and the Chinese giants are all pouring money into it. Whoever cracks cheap, clean steel first may hold the commanding position of the next century. So we reached a question this series always asks, of what would break if ArcelorMittal vanished? Because steel is made by many hands, the shock would be regional rather than total, and rivals would eventually take up the slack. But remove enough of the world's steelmaking capacity, and construction stops, cars go unbuilt, and the modern world quite simply stops rising into the sky. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question. We have built our entire civilization on a single material whose very making pours out a huge share of the carbon now warming the planet. Can we really keep raising the world in steel as we always have, or must we reinvent, at staggering cost, the very skeleton of modern life? To be fair, and it genuinely deserves saying, steel is something close to a miracle, and making it at this scale is a monumental achievement. It is cheap, strong, and recyclable, the silent enabler of every road, every hospital, and every home. The people who pour it by the billion tons do something that civilization simply cannot manage without. And that is the deeper lesson of this particular giant. The most enduring power is often found not in the clever or the beautiful, but in making the plain, strong, essential stuff that everything else is built upon. ArcelorMittal understood that an empire could be assembled from the discarded mills the world had given up on. So the next time you cross a bridge or ride an elevator up through a tower of glass and steel, spare a thought for the roaring furnaces and the strange empire raised from other people's cast-offs. Somewhere in that cheap, grey, unglamorous metal lies the literal backbone of the entire modern world.